So our first speaker this morning, when I met him, he looked me in the eyes. He goes, you need anything. You need anything at all, you call me. I'm here for you. I'll help you. I'll talk to someone for you. I'm like, really? Are you guys networking? Are you making this? Because you meet an independent broker and you're talking to one, and maybe you came from Cabo banker. You don't always speak their language. But if you meet an independent broker here who's doing really well and you become friends, how many of you would help somebody else at EXP? Would you? So our first speaker looked me in the eyes. I'll never forget it. In the lobby of the West End in San Antonio, he goes, I will help you. And he just kind of rocked me. I don't know why, but I go, I like that guy. And I get the pleasure of introducing him on this stage because he is a huge business with thousands of agents today. And he's just salt of the earth human being. I love this man. Help me welcome to the stage, Mr. Scott Lewis, everybody. Houston, is it Houston? Houston, right? Well, now Puerto Rico, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. How's y'all doing? Everybody good this morning? What's this? Oh, no, I don't need that. You can keep that. Wow, it is so good to be back in front of people. You guys, everybody stand up. Hey, do me a favor. Give 4 people around you a high five and say, I'm a badass and you know it. All right, have a seat. So I thought it was only fitting, since we're in the land of Baja, to talk about a music group that wrote a song about a hotel like 50 miles from here. Any of you Eagles fans? So I remember about 10 years ago, I was watching man, those lights are bright. Oh my goodness, I can barely even see you guys. I was watching a documentary, how many of you like Don Henley? Don Henley was just sitting there on the stage, and this lady was interviewing him. And, lots of questions about how they met, and they actually met in a bar. Glenn Fry and Don Henley met in a bar. Glenn Fry had lost his drummer the night before. Don Henley was going to play the next night. The bartender introduced them and said, hey, man, could you play for these guys tonight? They need a drummer. That's how it all began. You never know who you're going to meet, right? And so they wrote this song called Hotel California. And they were interviewing Don, or this lady was interviewing Don Henley, and said, man, you've played this song thousands of times. As a matter of fact, I Googled it this morning. Wikipedia said they've performed Hotel California on stage 1,038 times. And she said, how do you get up, for it again? How do you get excited again? You've done it so many times, playing the same songs over and over and over. How many of you doing 3-way calls? Same story over and over. And like, man, I wish I had a new story, right? But your story is your story. Your Hotel California. Hey, Rick, good to see you, man. And he was just, and she said, how do you do it? How do you get excited for it? And all of a sudden, they went to showed one of their concerts. And he said, it's really simple. And they cued, and he's sitting there, and he said, it's not about the song anymore. It's not about the lyrics. It's not about anything. It's the people. It's the energy in the room, right? And you're giving back for something that you're passionate about. I can tell you at this stage of EXP, 5 years ago when I made the decision to join this great company, I never had any idea that would have the opportunity to give back like we're doing so quickly around the world. And it's just such an incredible opportunity to give back. And so when I'm doing a 3-way phone call or on a Zoom call, I think I did 17 Zoom calls one time about 2 months ago in one day, and it was like, wow, But every time when I'm with that brand new prospect and I hear that, I think about the hours they're spending as an agent. and the meals they've got up from, with their family to take that buyer call or that seller call, and I have that opportunity one more time to share the vision and to change their life, I get excited. And so this morning, I'm going to give you 18 things, 18. So you're going to hear a West Texas guy talk really fast, and that normally doesn't happen. But I'm going to give you 18 things that I believe are the key ingredients if you want to win and win big. How many of you have made a big decision here already, and you're excited, and you're going to go home and you're going to crush it, right? You've already made that decision. You're here. Brent Gove raised his hand. I'm sure he made another huge decision. How many of you are glad Brent Gove made a decision to join EXP 5 years ago? How many of you are excited that Gene Frederick made a decision to sell his stock at another company and join EXP 5 years ago? How many of you are excited that Glenn Sanford threw it all on the line and said, you know what, we're going to start something new and create something different 10 years ago? All right, so really quickly, we're going to run through these, and I put the most important one first. Be duplicatable. And by the way, if you can't get all these down in your notes, if you send me a message in Workplace, I'll be happy to send you this list. Everything starts with duplication. If you're not duplicatable, your team will not grow quickly. And the easiest way to define duplication is imagine 1,000 people doing exactly what you do. And if it looks really, really good and that excites you, then you're duplicatable. If it looks really bad, then you're in trouble. So you got to start working on you, right? Start working with the most important person in the beginning. Secondly, I don't know anyone on my team that's built a huge organization that doesn't have a wealth chart on their wall and stares at it every single day. If you don't have one yet, who has a wealth chart? Raise your hand. Look around the room. I promise you these guys are building a big business. Number 3, it's easier to build fast than it is slow. Why is that? Because everything you do is duplicatable. Imagine if every person you sponsored and every person on your team that they sponsored said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to memorize the core values of EXP. I want you to get to know all the brokers in every single state. I want you to memorize the presentation, know all the 6 different ways you get stock, and then after you do that, make a list and we'll start talking to the people you know. Or if day 1 you said, you know what, I don't care what you know, it doesn't matter. All I care about is who you know. And get me on the phone with those people and let's make it happen today. Which one of those would you rather have duplicating in your organization? Now those are extremes, right? But everything you do is duplicatable. Don't compare yourself to other people and stop looking for perfection. I got news for you. Your sponsor's not perfect. They're not. EXP's not perfect. There are going to be growing pains. A lot of people have quit this company. Don't you think they're kicking themselves today? Because it wasn't perfect. Because they didn't get paid on time, or they couldn't get their new agent onboarded on time, or they were frustrated because they couldn't get the right answer. It doesn't matter. Just stay the course. It's not going to be perfect. Do a lunch and learn, or get to a lunch and learn every single week. Where's Pat Hayes? Are you out there, Pat? Right back here? Pat Hayes. So I remember in the beginning, like the first 10 lunch and learns we did in San Antonio, Texas, I think we averaged 1 guest a meeting. Maybe, if we were lucky. But we just kept doing it over and over and over and over and over. And we made a commitment. We're never going to stop. How many of you have a lunch and learn in your local market? Raise your hand. All right, for those of you that don't, go home and start one. And spread the word. All right, be consistent. Whatever you do, whether it's to have 2, when I'm coaching someone at EXP about building the revenue share, my most important thing that I get them to commit to is having conversations with other agents. Stop recruiting, stop throwing up on people. Just talk to them. Talk to them about their business, find a common thread, and just have a conversation with them. And I can tell you the most important thing is have conversations. So if your commitment is 2 conversations a week, have 2 a week. If it's 4 a week, have 4 a week. But be consistent and don't ever stop. Always follow up with people, but don't chase people. So my favorite thing to do is just text them, right? Every 10 to 20 days, it's just a simple text that I create for, there's a great app out there if you don't have it on your phone. If you got an iPhone, it's called Reach. It's a little green app. I love that app because I can put my entire hot list in that. It's great if you've got buyers and sellers, do the same thing. And it puts their name in the front of the thread, and then I can copy my message. And in about 15 seconds, I can send it to every single person that's in that list. It's a great app. Love that tool. How many of you have a list? I can tell you, he talked about enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm, I believe, runs side by side with how big your list is. If your list is getting small, the fire in the basement is going to dwindle. Get a big list. How many of you have an accountability partner? Get a running buddy, someone that you're passionate about. Do you talk to them every single day? Get up in the morning, talk to them, go to bed at night talking to them, talk to them 2 or 3 times a day. Somebody that you're excited to work with. I'm telling you, you can't do this alone. You've got to have people around you to build this thing. And if you've got someone that you love and that you're passionate about and that you work together well with, get an accountability partner and commit to each other. Big events. Have you heard this before? Big decisions are made at big events. If you have more than 200 people on your team, stand up for me real quick. Give them a hand. That's awesome. So, keep standing if you made a decision to build this at one of these events. See, I gauge my organization by the number of people at the big events. The big events do the work for you. Get them there, and it will do the work. Promote, promote, promote. The secret, most important ingredient is just to get people to big events. All right, number 11. Master the 3-way call. Stop being a know-it-all. What does that mean? Part of the duplication process is not having all the answers or not coming across like you know all the answers. Why is that important? Hey, Michael. Good to see you, man. Why is that important? Why is that important, Rick?
People need to feel like they can do what you did. And if you know it all, they're never going to feel like they can do the same thing.
Exactly. Did y'all hear that? Come up here and say it again.
I said that if people see you acting like you know everything, they're going to feel like they can't duplicate that because they're not you. You got to make everybody feel like they can do this too.
Perfect. Give me a hand. That's awesome. That's the right answer. Even if you do know the answer, sometimes you got to act like you don't. Just play dumb. Say, man, I'm not sure, but there's this dude, his name's Gene Frederick. I bet he knows the answer to that. Let's see if we can get him on the phone. Right? It works. It works. Facts tell, stories sell. It doesn't matter how much you know if you're not passionate. If you don't get to know why they're doing this, get to know what their number one reason is, get to know, what troubles them, or what's their goal, what's their desire, what are they looking to accomplish, and then I relate everything back to that. I said, well, I can't make it to Cabo. What do you mean? You told me you were really serious about making sure your son could afford to go to Harvard. Did something change? Now you hit them right between the eyes, right? If you can figure out why they're doing this, you can always relate it back. Or a story of someone else that's done really well. Tell that story that you think. That's why another reason why these events are so important. How many of you met some new people while you were here? right? Get to know them. Get to know their story. You'll be amazed when you get back. You'll run into other people, and you'll be able to connect the dots and go, oh, that's the same story that AJ might have had. And I met AJ in Cabo. AJ, would you be willing to talk to this person, right? And so those stories are incredible to have in your back pocket. All right, my favorite objection handler. How many of you have ever gotten an objection at EXP? None of you? Oh, come on. If you hadn't gotten an objection, you're not doing anything. This solves all problems. It's called feel, felt, found. Remember that? Anybody remember that? I just don't have the time to do this. Man, I know how you feel, AJ. I felt the exact same way. But you know what I found? I found that by doing this, it gave me the time I was looking for. It gave me back time, right? So I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Let me tell you what I found. You can use that for any obstacle. Is that good? Good stuff, right? By the way, I didn't create any of this. I stole it from somebody else. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Number 14, listen, 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 listen. The biggest problem with most of you is you talk too much. Find out their why and dig in and just keep listening. I can tell you I've been on three-way calls before, and, you know, Sharon will be in the other room, and she's like, you didn't say anything. I'm like, no, they never gave me a chance. They just talked the whole time. And I just let them go, right, Gene? I think I learned that from Gene Frederick. He's the best at that. Listen, listen, listen. Find out what their why is. All right, this is a big one. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine. Throw up. What does that mean? Anybody know what that means? Throw up. Don't throw down. Throw up. When you're challenged with something, when something is really bothering you, or you're really frustrated, or something happened, somebody did something you didn't like. Has that happened to anyone in here before? Yes. You don't go to your team. You don't go to the people you've sponsored and say, oh my God, I can't believe EXP did this. Oh my God, I can't believe my upline or my sponsor. I can't believe they did this at an event. That's the worst thing you can do for your organization. Why is that? Because it's duplicatable. And if you do it to them, what are they going to do? And if they do it to their people, what are they going to do? And if they do it to their people, what are they going to do? Your team not growing fast enough? Are you throwing down? Throw up. Talk to your sponsor. Talk to their sponsor. Get somebody from EXP. Get your questions solved. Get your problem fixed. But don't expect your team to do it for you. Number 16. Never, ever, ever quit. There are people on my team that are here that have 200, 300, 400 people on their team, and their sponsor quit. Can you imagine that? You are going to be challenged, I promise you. Something is going to come along and test you, and there's going to be a day of reckoning, I call it. Have we ever had any of those, Gene? Yep, that's right. We've had those. But you never quit. It only takes one. It takes that one connection, that one relationship, that one conversation, that one phone call. And you never know when it's going to happen. And it's not going to happen when you want it to happen. But it will happen if you stay the course. Why not me? Number 17. How are we doing on time? Oh, it says 0. I guess I ran out. Sorry, Stroop. Visualize where you're going to be. What if this was your team, your event, your tribe, your crowd, your people? Can you see it? Can you see yourself up here running the event? Can you see flying to Spain or Portugal or India and doing your event, and there's 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people there, and they're all on your team? So I remember we did the first event in, where was it? Puerto Vallarta. We had 80 people there, and I promise you that's what we were talking about, is the next one would be more, and there was 260. And I said, one of these days, we're going to fill coliseums around the world with thousands and thousands and thousands of agents. And many of those are going to be on your team. And if you don't quit and you visualize it and you see it, it can be yours. Everything you have ever wanted and then some can all be yours if you just stay the course. And last but not least, number 18, never forget number 1. God bless you all. Have a great day. Thank you, Brent James, for putting this on. Awesome event, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good job, Scott Lewis. Woo! 4,500 agents.